Ladies and bees and gentlemen, I give you the American Communist Party. As much as I wish this was a meme, this totally awesome bro launch video is a real political project by Jackson Hinkle, Haz Al-Din, and 10 bros that came together to do MAGA communism. And who are patriotic communists? Well, it's these lost frat boys. Basically, after the Communist Party USA's convention, the little tiny MAGA faction that they'd been building across the country was effectively booted out of all positions of power and authority, and many of their members were expelled. So they decided to drive the wambulance all the way to declaring their American Communist Party, where they write a 4-page long declaration complaining about basically how they were wronged by the Communist Party USA leadership, intermixing legitimate criticism with they called us fascist criticism. It ends in a pretty exciting way with our 10 new celebrity American communists and claiming that a whole bunch of Communist Party USA organizations had joined their new political party. Well, let's look into that. And just for a little background, Communist Party USA is one of the older communist parties in the US. It was founded way back in 1919. Well, on Twitter, someone had the exact same question as me because it seemed like a pretty wild claim. So they started asking all the Communist Party USA clubs, and guess what? None of them had joined this new American Communist Party. Many of them were shocked. Austin, Texas had a particularly strong denial, saying, "We did not sign this. We would never work with those chauvinist effers. Keep our name away from your little cult, losers." Seems like the American Communist Party is built on lies. And the Southern New Hampshire Club wanted to point out that people like Jackson Hinkle and the rest of the people in the American Communist Party had been making fake organizational accounts for years at this point, trying to pretend that they were the official accounts to make it look like they were more popular. Big shocker right there. The American Communist Party tried to justify this, saying, well, they have former members of these clubs. And when questioned on this, saying a purged member is purged, whether for good reason or bad, they shouldn't sign a document on behalf of their entire club, which is very obvious, right? Like, if you're kicked out of an organization, you no longer represent that organization. To say you do is incredibly disingenuous. And this new political party of the American people decided to lie about all the people being supported of them. Interesting. But they shouldn't shock us. This is Jackson Hinkle. He is a grifter who is just trying to become more and more famous and also push his incredibly reactionary, misogynistic views and also his weird obsession with the Russian Federation. And we have to call it what it is. This is a little American fascist party with Soviet aesthetic. I mean, look at some of the horrible people attracted to this party. Like, if you were not already aware that these guys declared themselves communists, you would be like, these are obviously fascists, bros. This one's just funny because they stole the poster from the Hearts of Iron mod Kaiserreich. And when called out, he said, "Call the cops." Now, as much as I'd like to talk about Executive Chairman Haz Al-Din, honestly, just 10 seconds looking at his Twitter feed will show you what kind of person he is. I mean, only the best people attract George Galloway to their support when they launch a new political project. Nor are we going to talk about the very strange communist Christian nationalist influencer accounts that float around these guys, like Orvo or Jesus Motorcycle, nor the whining letter where they're denying lying about all these organizations joining them, to the point they're spreading a conspiracy theory about it. Nor are we going to talk about how Polysterm International called them out as social chauvinists connected with international capital, Russia and China, and that this organization is not communist, or the exciting tale of Jackson Hinkle's popularity on both American and Russian conservative talk shows. No, we're going to talk about their new international officer, Christopher Hilali. And this guy, oh buddy, he's a scumbag. Now, how does one of the ACP-10 describe it? Well, Eddie Liger from Midwestern Marks describes him as a hero who helped uncover the truth about Epstein and is being cynically weaponized to smear him as an Epstein associate. Just disgusting. So Christopher here, he got his claim to fame because he said he found Jeffrey Epstein's other little black book that he bought on eBay from someone who said they found it in the street in New York City. I'm not joking, guys. But what he should be more famous for is the fact that he robbed the international workers of the world. In the Boston IWW, they noted that Christopher Hilali is a disgraced member, formerly of the Boston General Membership Branch of the Industrial Workers of the World, who embezzled branch funds in the amount of $4,510. And if stealing from his trade union wasn't bad enough, he also abandoned the mother of his child to go play war journalist in Rojava. He then forced his wife to go through a protracted legal struggle to get the custody of her children and all of the documents done for this. Even one of those things would have disqualified him in most political organizations, but no, the American Communist Party, knowing all of this, made him international secretary and got him on Russia Today. These are literally guys who believe that the homeless are the true ruling class in America. Listen to this one. Quote, "The homeless in America are like what landlords were in Mao's time, occupying what should be public land and intimidating people to give them rent while they do nothing. The homeless are the ruling class of American public life. Everyone fears them and bows before them." And here's Hazel-Din, the chairman of the American Communist Party. Facts. Pedestrians are treated with the same cruelty that serfs were. Any moment they can get a bucket of diarrhea thrown on them if we dare. Do not pay rents to the sidewalk lords. I think it's also important to mention, don't get pulled in because you like one or two things about one of these guys are saying. Don't be like, oh, well, I'm an anti-Zionist too. They must be my comrades. Or I'm an anti-imperialist too. Think about what they're actually saying. Think about who they're backing. I mean, look at this absolutely bonkers nonsense. Because they are very loud about their beliefs. He is constantly saying, I'm inspired by this Russian fascist philosopher. I love him. I'm going to meet him. This is me with the guy who inspired my MAGA communism and my ideas of multipolarity. This guy, Professor Dugin, who is a literal Russian fascist theorist. The guy who is literally selling merchandise glorifying the Z used in the invasion of Ukraine by the Russian military. As Comrade Shapakova says, about the so-called American Communist Party, who claim to be communists but aren't. Instead, they express right Hegelianism and idolize fascist Dugin. They even meet with him recently. They don't critique the class nature of our system, but push nationalist memes and USR aesthetics. And where they get their support from cannot be more clear. This is Hinkle, literally at the United Nations, speaking on behalf of the Russian Federation. Here he is in occupied Ukraine under invitation of the Russian military. Wow, such communism, right? Do you remember the part in the Communist Manifesto where we praise private military corporations engaging in colonialist concession hunting in Africa right now, where they're backing military dictatorships, slaughtering civilians, and kidnapping people to force them to fight for them in Ukraine? Now, call me old-fashioned, but I think it's a bit suspect when we have our embezzler, deadbeat dad, international secretary jetting off to go meet with another reactionary party with Soviet aesthetics in Georgia the day after his political parties formed, especially one formed by a bunch of guys who it seems very questionable where they're getting their vast amount of funding from. If you're a young person getting into the left, getting into socialism, communism, anarchism, whatever, there are incredible organizations around. Many of them in your country, maybe one in your town or city or village. You need to go out there and meet some actual people, not some grifters on the internet, not some dudes on TikTok or Discord. These guys are grifting hard, and you do not want to be led down for years of your activism, down this completely pointless, chauvinist, ridiculous world. Their kind of politics has been done before on the left, and it always blows up. Don't get into it. Do something productive. Do something that makes you feel good about yourself, not some strange political cult forming around 10 guys that couldn't even get a single woman to help organize their political movement. It's shocking, it's sexist, and it's just not right. And we're in the 21st century. We have to do better. Thank you.